Are starting to run dry in parts of Johannesburg following planned maintenance at the Vereeniging water purifying plant. Water could be cut or pressure severely reduced until Wednesday. A raw pipe is being installed at the plant. Nqobile Madlala and Aviwe Mtila are following the story for us. They join us now live. Aviwe, I'm going to start with you because we heard from national government about the issues around water in South Africa. Let's start with what we're experiencing in Gauteng. What are we hearing?
Well, simply put, Shahan, there is no water crisis or water crisis in Gauteng. What's happening at the moment is a large-scale maintenance of the B11 and B19 pipelines, which basically supply a third of the water around Johannesburg and Gauteng in its entirety. In fact, Rand Water went on to say that out of the 4,600 million litres of water it supplies daily, only 600 million litres have been impacted and cut off. So basically, it's only water reductions that we are seeing at this current moment. But what was interesting, Shahan, was around the water crisis and, in fact, the scarcity of water in South Africa. It is a water-scarce country, but when I put it pointedly to the minister in terms of what we're going through, areas such as Port Alfred, where residents haven't seen water drop since last year, November, for example, come out of their taps, and him admitted himself that Pietermaritzburg, eThekwini, some areas that will have no water if nothing is being done soon enough. Going on to mention areas such as Giyani in Limpopo, in the Northern Cape as well, Mahikeng, some of the areas, Maluta, Apofong in the Free State, that are in dire need of water. But the Water and Sanitation Minister still maintains that there is no water crisis in South Africa. And in the press briefing that we heard from, let's take a listen to that.
I want to highlight two things. The first one is to allay the fears of the affected areas and the people of South Africa generally, that we don't have a crisis of water. I see in various media from time to time, you come across the use of the word crisis. On average, we are not on crisis, in any crisis of water. But I know, quickly I have to explain this, that there are areas in the country that are either getting less than the required supply, but in some cases no water at all. And as far as those areas are concerned, we may talk about a crisis in those areas where there is no water at the moment. But we need to avoid exaggeration to say the whole country is affected, but is going through a crisis. But in Gauteng in particular, it's a question of the work that is being done for the number of hours.
All right, so we're going to go to Nqobile Madlala in a moment, but Aviwe, just tell me about these maintenance that's going to happen over a longer period of time. How often can we expect it?
Well, they could become a regular occurrence, Shahan, but no timelines given into how often of intervals could we see. But of course, depending on our aging infrastructure, which is the current status of the water infrastructure around the country, it is aging, so a lot of the pipes will need to be replaced, such as one that we're seeing this current moment being replaced in order to allow easier flow of water and easier supply of water. So we were told in no uncertain terms that we could have regular of such maintenance that happens with Rand Water and other water infrastructures around the country. In a conversation that I had with the Department of Water and Sanitation spokesperson, Sputnik, let's take a listen to that.
Infrastructure needs to be looked after. And in that instance, depending on the periods that are or rather the regular periods when the infrastructure that is already in the ground needs to be looked at. And that would be different, that would differ depending on when such infrastructure was laid and the time that is best suited for that maintenance to happen. So it must also be understood that maintenance work is something that happens all the time. It's just that in this instance, these are major pipelines, and also that they affect quite a significant amount of people that are supplied by Rand Water, as you indicated in at the beginning of this discussion.
Let's go live now to Nqobile Madlala. I want to start with the maintenance work where you are, of course, because it was a very intricate and slow process this morning. We saw them trying to get through that huge pipe. How are things looking now? How far are we?
Can they kill me? Can they kill me? Because it is...
All right, issues with sound there, but Nqobile did speak to residents earlier that were being affected by the water cuts, or, low pressure, I should say. I have to be very careful with wording there. Let's take a listen.
Well, so far so good. We are worried about the peak time, which will be later this afternoon when people come home and they start showering and cooking, and especially for the high-line areas like the top of Glenvista and the top of Vereeniging. But so far so good. We are okay so far.
We are worried, but like my colleague has said, that we have prepared people to have some contingency plan. And also Johannesburg Water has promised us some roaming trucks, but that might not be enough. So we'll just take it as it comes. But at the moment, we haven't received any reports that, there's water shortage, We are still waiting, and then we have our plans in place.
Aviwe, Mtila and Nqobile Madlala following that story for us.